Hi everyone, I'm Shanshan and today we are going to talk about war rape. So before I start, I believe that all of you already have a brief understanding on rape, right? But what is war rape? Okay, war rape is an unlawful activity that the combatants force the victims to have sex forcibly, even if they are unwilling to do it during the armed conflict, war, and military occupation. If you think that war rape is just having sexual intercourse one on one, no, it's not that simple. It includes gang rape or even rape with objects and weapons, which is awful and highly inhumane. During the war, rape is usually used as a physiological warfare in order to humiliate their enemies, and it occurs in a variety of situations such as sexual mutilation, sexual slavery, forced prostitution, forced pregnancy, forced abortion, sexual torture, and so on. This sexual violence is usually committed by the armed actors known as the state militaries, pro-government militia, and the rebel groups, and it happens during the war or immediately post-conflict. Okay, that's all from me, and now I'll pass it to Huilin to continue with her part. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanshan. Hi, I'm Huilin, and now I'll be presenting my part, which is about the people who's affected during the war rape. Okay, let's talk about the story of Florence Shimogana first. She was 19 years old and she was raped by a Marine Corps officer in 2015. She waited until 2017 to report it because she was scared and no one would believe it. She fell into deep depression after the tragedy happened. Over the next few years, she tried to kill herself 6 times as the pain she felt every day was nearly unbearable. But fortunately, after she had reported it and the NCIS has investigated, the commander decided to press charge against her assailant. Apart from the tragedy that Florence Shimogana has gone through, there are also an estimated 45 million plus civilians suffered during World War II. Both male and female civilians have been tortured, but many studies show that war rape is more frequently perpetrated on women rather than men. Although war rape of women is documented throughout history, laws protecting civilians in armed conflict have tended not to recognize sexual assault on women. Even when laws of war have recognized and forbidden sexual assault, few prosecutions have been brought. What worse is that war rape has in the past been regarded as a tangible reward to soldiers, and as a soldier's proof of masculinity and success. That's all from me now, and I'll be passing it to Singi to continue with her part.
Thank you, Huiling. I'm Singi, and I'll pick up from where Huiling left off. Okay, so even though there is a disproportionate figure showing that women are usually the targeted victims for it, but rape isn't just a woman issue. The rape of men by other men is also common in war. A 2009 study by Lara Stempel found that 76% of male political prisoners in 1980s El Salvador and 80% of concentration camp inmates in Sarajevo reported being raped or sexual torture. She concludes that the lack of attention to sexual abuse of men during conflict is particularly troubling given the widespread reach of the problem. Association in 2010, 30% of women and 22% of men from the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo reported that they had suffered from the war sexually. Everyone says men are expected to exert violence while women are victimized by it. However, despite the perception that rape during conflict is primarily targeted against women, in conflict situations, these figures have shown that sexual violence committed against men is not a marginal occurrence. That's all from me, and now I'm passing to Ziheng to talk about his part.
Thanks, Singi. Now then, one may ask, how did war rapes impact the victims? Well, in a 2013 study, victims of war rapes will abuse and suffer a lot, such as receiving the traumatic injuries, sexual transmitted disease, unwanted pregnancy, and many more. Oftentimes, it will result in deadly infections and unsafe abortions, which are fatal due to the poor conditions the victims are in. It gets worse. Usually, the victims will develop many psychological problems such as depressions, trauma, and vulnerability, this will alter their life permanently. Even worse, victims of war rapes often suffer from stigmatization and isolation from their spouse or their community. Research in 2019 shows war rapes increase the incidence of partner abuse. A study of internal conflicts in Peru estimates that women who had experienced sexual violence during the conflict were also at the increased risk of intimate partner violence after the war. That's all from me. I shall pass it on to Ufei. Thank you.
Thanks, Ziheng. Now let me enlighten you with the impacts of war rape on society. War rape has a destructive impact on society, and if they're not addressed and prosecuted as soon as possible, the violence will continue to increase, and soon the culture of rape will take hold in countries where war rape has taken place long after the conflict has ended. Some of the effects war rape can cause towards a society are exclusion and rejection of victims, impoverishment, stigmatization of war babies, escalation of violence, and weakening of the economy. War babies, which is a term used on unwanted children who were born due to war rape, are often shunned by their communities and are more vulnerable in a psychological and physical way. Recurring patterns in countries which include Bosnia, Herzegovina, Uganda, Sierra Leone, and Rwanda show that the children who were born as a result of war rape are abandoned by their mothers and are forced to survive alone. Cases of child abandonment have been reported in various contemporary conflict and post-conflict societies. Okay, last but not least, how does this issue affect our understanding in gender equality? Well, to be honest, there isn't any gender equality in women during the war. But if these crimes go unpunished, this reinforces gender inequality even further, and sexual violence continues to be committed in high numbers after the conflict. In short, if there's hope that by reducing gender inequalities, the incidence of sexual violence will decrease as well. Hence, understanding the relationship between gender inequality and with sexual violence in armed conflict is necessary. That's all from us. Thank you.